All right, my name is David Bianculli, and I'm the author of Dangerously Funny, the uncensored story of the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. It's a long title. I actually forget it as I get halfway through it. It's called Dangerously Funny because these guys were actually pushing against censorship in the 60s and saying something on TV at a time when nobody was saying anything on TV. So they had more and more battles, had them more frequently and more aggressively about talking about Vietnam, about the presidency, about presidential policies, about sex and drugs and rock and roll, all of it in one place at one time. And they got fired for it. They were actual brothers. They were a couple of years apart. Tom was older. Their biographical story is interesting. They lost their father when they were very young. He was part of the Bataan Death March during World War II and died as a prisoner of war. And so they grew up without really knowing their father and depending on each other. And then when the folk movement of the 50s came about, they just went out there and decided to make fun of it because Tom, in between the songs, would get more laughter than they would get a reaction from just singing stuff. So they built a reputation just making fun of folk songs and folk singers. And they were good musicians and good singers. And then by the time they got their hit show, they just morphed that into a political sense. They weren't political before they got the Smothers Brothers show. They had very successful comedy albums, no politics on any of them. And then, surprise, they get a TV show, and they're very political. There were lots of variety shows that were on in the 1960s, and some were popular and some were not, and the Smothers Brothers were brought on as a mid-season replacement for a variety show that was the least popular show on television, and the Smothers Brothers replaced them, and within a few weeks, they were up there in the top 10, top 20. Yeah, no, they were pushing things weekly in prime time, doing the sort of stuff that Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert and Bill Maher and Saturday Night Live are doing today, except they weren't doing it on cable or late night. They were doing it right in the middle of prime time. You wouldn't have Colbert and you wouldn't have Jon Stewart if you didn't have the Smothers Brothers. That even though they didn't win their fight, their battle made it easier for All in the Family and then Saturday Night Live and for shows to do and attack different kinds of taboos. TVWorthWatching.com is the website that I run. There's about 20 writers that are working for it now. And the centerpiece is what's worth watching on television that night, the best 5 things. And then all of us are writing about, in depth, about good television. And so it's a good place to go in this 200-channel universe. And really smart writers on the site and really smart readers and posters. It's just a very good audience.